It's Martina. So tonight, normally I do my videos in the morning, but I wasn't able to this morning. So I'm on here tonight to just talk to you guys a little bit about challenging the food police. So before we get started, if you are watching this live, please say hello so I can say hi back to you. And if you're watching on the replay, just hashtag replay so I can come back and say hi to you then. And if you guys are watching this on Facebook, I would encourage you to head over onto my YouTube channel when this video is done and hit the subscribe button and the bell to receive notifications for every time that I come live. There's lots of yoga, meditation, self-love chats, information on mindful eating, yoga meditations, like I've already said, and just lots of empowering content on there. So go ahead and head over there after this video is done if that's something that interests you. So, before we get started, I'm just going to make sure I can see you guys. If anyone's saying hello. All right, so there's my. Okay. So, when we're talking about challenging the food police are voices in your head that make you feel guilty for eating unnecessary calories, being hungry and wanting a certain food, and it really is just being at war with your body. So I see someone saying hello there. Hello. So when we're talking about mindful eating and intuitive eating, this is kind of one of the principles that I have been learning about in mindful and intuitive eating. And this one is about challenging the food police, talks about how really it's trying to challenge that whole thought of having to be at war with your body all the time. And it's kind of differentiating between being that you're not good if you that you are good if you are eating minimal calories, and that you're bad for eating a piece of cake. So the difference is to just start to kind of make peace with your food and your body, and know that it's okay if you have a piece of cake, and it doesn't make you good or bad. Same thing, like it doesn't make you good or bad if you it's just it's like learning that all food is okay to eat, and not to kind of have that guilty voice in your mind all the time telling you that you can't do this or you can't do that because that will make you bad. And the thing to realize is that your weight and shape and the way that you eat are not a reflection of your worth as a person. And I think that's the biggest thing, is we're often so hard on ourselves, and that when we say we often think, and I thought this before too, that my weight and my shape and the way that I ate were a reflection of how worthy I was, and I didn't feel worthy when I would have that piece of cake. I would feel really guilty about it, and I would skip a meal so I could have cake if I knew there was an event coming up. It's like, well, if I don't eat lunch that day, then I would be able to do this, right? Which is such an unhealthy mindset, right? And so I don't know if that resonates with you, but it sure resonates with me. So it's just learning to kind of challenge that guilty thoughts that are always coming into our heads when we associate food, right? So a couple of questions to ask yourself, if this is something that you feel like you do, is to take a kind of analyze what your food rules are. So do you have rules that that you can't eat carbs 3 times a week, or you can never have chocolate, or you can whatever they are. We all limit ourselves, and we all have these things that we have kind of been embedded in our minds of like, okay, carbs are bad, so if I'm going to be good, I can't have carbs. And so just kind of analyzing what your rules are, and then also thinking about where you first heard these messages. So maybe it was ads on TV, maybe it was diets that you heard about, and that was the answer to all your problems. And then another question to ask yourself is how you feel when you break one of these rules, and how it affects your eating behavior. So often, if you are a person that has been told or has thought that, okay, I can't eat this because that means that I'm bad and I've cheated or whatever, then what happens when you do finally eat that thing? Do you just have one little bite and you're satisfied, or do you end up eating more than you would normally, and you kind of feel that painfully full or uncomfortably full after the fact? So it's just kind of starting to really think about, by doing these things and calling these foods bad and good, that is it affecting your eating behavior? So is it a healthy relationship that you've created with food, or is it a harmful one? And some kind of things that really resonated with me is that kind of looking at switching our narrative from being like, let's say there's I don't know, let's say that there's a yummy dessert in front of you. Start to think about, can I have this? That's what we used to, or that's what I used to say, of like, can I have this? Like, let me look on my diet app and see if I've had enough, or if I have enough room to have this. And start to come from the perspective of, do I want this? And actually thinking about it. And this has happened to me lately. I've kind of been more mindful of what I eat and when I eat it. And so, for example, I was at the grocery store once, and I normally would always grab a chocolate bar at the checkout. And this time I kind of stopped and I asked myself, it's like, do I really want that? Am I hungry, or is this just a routine that I've established with myself and that I don't really need it? Not to say you can't have it. Like, if you really crave that chocolate bar, then you should have it. But really be mindful in listening to your body and thinking about, hey, do I want this? I don't know, probably not. And then I ended up not wanting it, and I didn't get it. And so it's just really listening to your body is the biggest thing about mindful eating and intuitive eating. And then another example would be, instead of focusing on how I look, focusing on how I feel, like how I feel when I move my body, how I feel when I eat these foods versus these foods, like just really starting to analyze how you feel rather than how you look. And then another cool one that I liked to kind of like switch the reframe is the going from I exercise so I can eat. So being in the mentality that I have to exercise these many calories a day and for this long a day so then I can eat this. And going from that mindset to going to I eat so I can exercise, because food fuels our bodies and it allows us to move, right? If we didn't eat, we wouldn't be able to move. We wouldn't be able to have movement because we'd have no energy, right? So, and then the last one kind of leads me to the same perspective, is going from food is my reward to food is my nourishment. So really starting to think about food, not thinking about food as a reward, but thinking of it as nourishing your body, fueling your body. All these things, right, that are really helpful when you start to kind of reframe your old ways of thinking and try and come from a place of being mindful, coming from a place of connecting to your body, connecting to your senses, all that stuff. And yeah, so that's kind of that principle that they talk about, and just starting to challenge these old thoughts that we have been learned behavior that we have learned and other generations before us have learned. And it's this big vicious cycle that we all have it's what society's told us to do. And it's been a really, it's a $1 billion industry, all the diets and all that stuff. So really starting to come from a place of, like I said, being mindful, fueling your body, nourishing your body, listening to your voice inside your head, of more from a place of, do I want this? Rather than from a place of shame and guilt and fear of eating and fear of food. So yeah, so that's kind of the principle. I hope this helped you guys. Intuitive eating has kind of 10 principles that they kind of take you through. And I'm just kind of going over each. As I'm learning about them, I'm kind of just sharing what I've been learning with you guys, and hopefully that helps you in your own journey of learning to get to know your body and yourself better and finding that self-love piece, which is what I'm super passionate about. So before I head out of here, if you guys are not in my community already, I have a group called Imperfectly Perfect You. We are a group of women who are empowering each other to find self-love at any size through many different holistic approaches. And so if that sounds like something that you need in your life, we would love to welcome you into that space. And then I do have a couple spots left in my yoga and mindful eating program. there's 3 spots left at the discounted price before the price goes up. And so I'd love to welcome you into that space where you're going to be doing 10 minutes a day of yoga practices or meditations, along with discovering movement you love, which is yoga, and that's movement that I have really learned to love, and then learning to ditch the diet mentality, which gives you 4 workbooks focusing on mindful eating and teaching you all the tools to kind of start your journey in that. That's super easy to follow along with and just allows you to really start to analyze where your relationship is with food, and maybe some areas you can either work on or improve around your relationship with food. So the link to all that stuff is in the description of this video. So if you want to take a look at that, it's there for you. And that's all I had for you guys. So I hope you have the best night, and we'll see you for my video tomorrow morning.